This show is brought to you by Kings Ridge Elderberry Farm. Visit tkrfarm.com. That's the Kings Ridge Farm, tkrfarm.com, and purchase your elderberry needs from the Kings Ridge Elderberries. Use code WB10, that's Waterbreak WB10, for 10% off of your first order. And as kind of a personal anecdote here, me and my wife have used this elderberry cocktail that they make. It's fantastic, and our kids love it. In fact, our kids are putting it in yogurt and all sorts of things. And we've had other flavors before that we've not liked, and the cocktail that they put together for their elderberry juice is fantastic. Go to tkrfarm.com and support them. Hey y'all, welcome to Waterbreak. It's good to be with you. I'm one of the hosts, Waterboy Gabriel, and this is my wife, Annie. It's good to be with you. Today's show, we're going to be talking about, or answering questions, Q&A questions that have been written in over the last couple of weeks with the various topics we've covered in our shows. But before we kind of get into that, we want to make sure you guys know about our summit. Our summit is here in Moscow, Idaho at the end of March 27th, 28th. Go to waterbreak.tv to sign up and click on the summit, and you'll be able to sign up from there. We also have several vendor spots open, so you can click on and fill that out too. And we'd love to be in touch and have you have a table at our booth, or have you sponsor some of the stuff that we're doing there. So there's VIP tickets available. Mm-hmm. And that VIP ticket just kind of covers a really nice dinner and a nice time with the speakers that are coming in town for the summit. So we'd love to have as many of you can there. Of course, the seating's limited at the VIP dinner, and sponsorships are limited too, because we just don't have tons of space in our building that we're in. So with that said, anything that I missed in opening up there, baby?
I don't think so.
No yawning. No yawning.
Sorry. Sorry. You guys, Thursdays are a huge day for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're a huge day.
It's a long day.
By the time I get to this point in the day, I've just
I've
done a lot.
This is like
I've done a lot.
Yeah.
Taught three different. That's what it is. It's three different high school girls, ladies group strength, and then a boot camp class that I also teach that I do. So it's just a lot of talking and teaching, and yeah. So I that's why it's coffee always.
So we got a lot of questions kind of this last couple weeks from some of the shows that we've done. So we hope you guys kind of enjoy this Q&A.
Yeah, well, we said, remember, it was our New Year's, what we called our New Year's episode. We were like, give us your questions. Tell us what you want to hear about for this year. And then we got a lot of really good ones.
Yeah,
a lot.
Okay, good.
And so we've got a list here. Hopefully we can get to all of them.
And don't miss our last show. It's already getting a lot of attention, but our last show was on why I called it this: why 99% of you should not fast.
Yeah.
But it's a show on basically not against fasting, but kind of maybe against fasting as a fad and as a a dominating way to lose weight, which we would reject and all that.
Most of you should not be doing it. And my phone almost broke today after I posted it.
Yeah.
Just so many messages and questions.
Don't miss the last show. And then, of course, make sure you guys share these shows. Share them with your friends. We hope they're helpful and all that stuff. So the first question we're getting to.
There's, just so you know, there's three here from the same person. These were. Do you see it?
You want me to break them up?
They're all there's just three from April.
Okay. So. All right. This is from April from Wyoming. We don't know if you're from.
He just makes it up, April. I'm sorry.
Yeah. you could be from LA.
You could be from really
likely
anywhere.
Not. If you're listening to us, you're likely not from LA. Okay, so the first part of April's question is, you mentioned avoiding the poopy face runs, meaning when you're running, sometimes your body just changes.
Yeah. Ben Greenfield, and I think it's so funny.
Yeah.
It's so true.
But honestly, if you are new to running, won't that just be a part of running? My 5 kids do cross country, so I'm running to keep up with them, but my heart rate is always in the 160s, even on the easy runs. What should I be looking for when I'm running? Do I ignore the zone 2? I don't know what zone 2 is, but zone 2 deal in order to keep up with my kids? Let's have you answer that.
Yeah. It's a great question, honestly. And it actually comes up a lot. The whole, there's all these memes on the internet about what runners have to do, how slow they have to go to actually be in zone 2.
What's zone 2?
Zone 2. So it's just... there's this classic model of heart rate zones, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. And some of them are go to 5, some of them go a little higher. It kind of depends on the model. But in general, when we're talking about zone 2, which comes up a lot just in cardiovascular discussions, you're looking at 60 to 70% of your max heart rate, which is when you're trying to do something like run or do something hard, it's quite low. And so the joke is that people have to like lay on the ground and like walk in the air just to keep their heart rate low enough that they're actually still in zone 2. So it's a thing. Yeah. It's a frustration. And it is a very big frustration for people who are starting out, because if you have an untrained body, or at least you're untrained when it comes to running, your heart rate is going to go up really high, really fast, even when you're not running that fast, right? Because you're just not trained, right? So you're right that this is a frustration, and everybody's like zone 2. So what do we do? How do you even get started? How do you run with your kid? You know, how do you do all that? So it's a good question. So, okay. I'm going to say,
I guess real quick. Yeah. I don't, so zone 2 sounds like your heart rate's supposed to be something like 120 or something around that.
I'm about to get to all that.
Okay.
I'm about to get to all that.
You'll break that down.
I'm going to break it down.
Okay, go. Break it.
Okay.
Break it down.
All right. Okay. So, I love that you're running. I think it's great. As long as, but I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this really quickly. No mom should be running unless you are sleeping well and your stress is managed. If that's going on, like you're getting 8-9 hours most nights, your stress is managed as well as it can be for a
mom of 5.
Mom of 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's always kind of funny when you say that, but, and you're eating enough, then I think running is great. If you like it, you enjoy it, and your body is handling it well. If your body is constantly injured and you're just like, this is not a fit for me, then don't push through it, find something else. But if you're checking all those boxes, then I think running is fantastic. You guys know I love it. I love to run. Okay, that said, aerobic based training, and this is kind of where the zone 2, this is kind of why it's popular. Another way of saying zone 2 is basically keeping your cardiovascular exercise aerobic, meaning you're roughly staying mostly in your aerobic energy system. You're not pushing your body so hard that you're crossing over into your anaerobic system. Okay. So aerobic based training is very, very important. I will say this. Now, I think a lot of people get confused on like, well, how much zone 2 should I be doing? Is it good? Is it bad? How much? It really depends on how serious you are about becoming a good runner and how you're managing your stress and your sleep and all of that. And then also how much running period you're doing throughout the week. If you're only going out a couple times, you might have to be a little more choosy about specifically what you do based off of your goal, right? So it kind of depends. But I will say, just generally speaking, just for cardiovascular health and fitness in general, and also if you want to be a good runner and you want to kind of see yourself progress, it is, I think, valuable to spend some time building an aerobic base. Okay. And I want to note, well, what does aerobic base training do? It's very, very foundational to your cardiovascular fitness. It builds endurance, obviously, that you're staying aerobic. It promotes long-term health. It lowers injury risk for you to spend time there as opposed to a lot higher intensities where injury risk is higher. It improves, when you're aerobic, it improves oxygen efficiency and mitochondrial density, all really, really good things. You're training higher fat and you're getting higher fat utilization at lower intensities like zone 2 than you are when you're bringing your intensity up. And it's lower stress on the body, right? To be actually in zone 2, it's lower stress on the heart, lower stress on the body. And so there's a lot of reasons to do it. And I will tell you this, that all the best runners in the world spend a decent amount of time, especially in their off season or preseason, in an aerobic zone, whatever that is for them. Now, granted, they are so well trained that they're, zone 2 or 3.
Way higher.
It's way higher. It's like a 5:30 pace versus a 4:30 pace. But for them, because they're so well trained, they're at that 60 to 70% of their max heart rate. Because so it's all based off your max heart rate. So let's break this down for a second. If you want to just use the very classic, simple calculation that you will read in the books or you will learn at school to find your max heart rate, you're just going to go 220 minus your age. So let's use me because that's easy. I'm 40. So if you go 220 minus my age, that would say that my max heart rate is 180. That might not be exactly right. It depends on the body, depends on your training, depends on genetics, but you can do your math off of it and probably be okay. So based off of that,
70% of that.
Yes. Zone 2, normally on most of the graphs that you'll look at will be 60 to 70% of that max heart rate. Now, if we do that math, you're looking at like 110 to 125, which is very low if you're running. Like most people, like you'll hit that if you're walking.
I'll hit that lifting weights.
Jogging.
Yeah, about 110. Yeah, 115.
But I want to make you feel a little better. I think most bodies could push into zone 3 and still be mostly aerobic. Zone 3 is where we're going 70 to 80%. So if we did that same math off of me, 220 minus my age, that's 180. Is my max heart rate. We're looking at anywhere from maybe 125 to 140. That I like that number right there. So for me, keep it under 140. And that will mean that I'm mostly aerobic. Okay. And another way to test that, and you'll see that this all matches up, is can you talk? It doesn't mean you're jogging and it's really comfortable to tell your entire life story, but you should be able to go back and forth with a friend if you needed to. Okay. So I think part of the problem is that people think that in order to be aerobic, for it to be aerobic base miles, you have to just be in zone 2. Zone 2, that heart rate's pretty dang low. You'd have to be a very well-trained body, a very aerobically well-trained body to have a heart rate that low whilst running constantly, you know. Most of the time it's going to be a hike, an incline walk, maybe a walk jog interval. It's a great place to start because it's quite gentle, it's quite low stress, but I think you could go as high as 80% of your max heart rate. Depends on the body, of course, but probably, and still stay aerobic. And that's a good place to start. And that's where you want a lot of your miles to be when you just start out from a health and performance standpoint. Okay. So, and I just want to mention this, that if you're really interested in heart rate training and you're like, oh, I like this, I'm interested in it, I want to get more into running, I want to not just do a bunch of poopy face runs all the time, I want to have intention behind the runs that I do. Phil Maffetone is a really, really great guy to follow. I think he was an exercise scientist, a researcher, a running coach from years ago. And he's got, basically, he calls it the MAF method, MAF. It's max aerobic function. And interestingly, his calculation is, to stay aerobic, you should go 180 minus your age. So interestingly, for me, again, that's 140. Okay. So that would be his thing. And he has this whole method. So where you do your math, and then he says, like, have you been really sick over the last year? Or have you been injured more than 2 times? If that's true, take 10 away from that number. So I'd have to bring it down to 130. Or, you know, so he has all these little things to kind of adjust it. And then basically he's like, this is aerobic heart rate training where you wear your heart rate monitor, you run however long or fast you can while not going above that number. For me, 140. And the cool thing is you can watch your aerobic capacity get better over time, because whereas 2 months ago, if you had to run a 9.5 minute mile to stay under 140, now you can run a 9-minute mile and be under 140. And then later it's an 8:30 mile, still under 140. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's really valuable, guys. That's aerobic base training. That's aerobic efficiency, aerobic endurance. That's really, really valuable. And it is less stressful to be there. And it is ideal to be able to run faster and longer over time while still remaining aerobic, right? And not crossing over that threshold into anaerobic work. You do run into a lot of athletes, CrossFitters, spin junkies, whatever, who are what we would call lactic acid junkies, where they only operate in an anaerobic energy system. They have no aerobic base. They burn out a lot. They're injured a lot. It's very stressful for your body to be there all the time. So there's a lot of reasons, and there is a reason that the best of the best spend a lot of time running aerobic base miles. Yeah. And they're often pre-season. So all that to say, it depends on how many runs a week you're getting. It depends on how motivated you are. It depends how stressed out your body is to begin with. But I would say there is nothing wrong with running in some of the higher intensities. I do it. I'll give you an example right now of what I do. I give myself 3 runs a week. I'm doing too much other stuff to really afford more. There's really nowhere else I could fit it. I'd have to get rid of strength or get rid of this class, and I don't really want to. So I do 1 run that's very much speed oriented. It's either VO2 or it's like 400 meter repeat. So that's super anaerobic, right? I do 1 run in the middle. That's more of a pace run where I'm pushing my pace. Not aerobic at all. That's me running 5 miles as hard as I can. And it really hurts. And then this is tomorrow for me, and I'm really looking forward to it. I go aerobic. I let myself run really slow, comfortable pace. This would be my zone 2, zone 3, definitely heart rate, probably right around 140. And that's my aerobic base training. I'm trying to stay aerobic the whole time, and I'm pushing my distance and my time. So you want to have some intention, but all that said, having some runs where you're not in zone 2 is not going to kill you. If you're eating enough, your stress is managed. And the more untrained you are, the harder it is to keep your heart rate low. So just keep that in mind and give yourself some grace. But I would say if you're committed to running and you're running several times a week, try to get at least 1 of those to stay aerobic. Do that Maffetone, 180 minus your age-ish calculation. Strap on a heart rate monitor and try to keep your heart rate at that number or under. And you may find that you have to actually walk jog in order to do that. And that is very common. I've had wonderful experience with people who are either just really poorly conditioned, new to running, or they're very anaerobically conditioned. Like they can do a CrossFit Metcon all day, but they have 0 aerobic capacity. Like they get going slow and their heart rate just spikes. So it's really uncomfortable and stressful to be there. But I've had really good luck doing this Maffetone type training where we've been able to make their aerobic capacity a lot bigger. It's also fantastic for asthmatics to get their aerobic capacity bigger so that they can perform better, faster, longer while still being aerobic.
More lung
because when
space
they
and stuff,
cross over into that anaerobic space, that's a lot of times where the asthma gives them a lot of trouble. Yeah. So I maybe that was more information that you wanted. Yeah. Look up Phil Maffetone, website, books. He's got everything, whole methods, but really interesting stuff. So I think there's a place for all of it. It doesn't have to be exact, but I think some aerobic based training is very valuable for everybody. And it is a phenomenal tool for fat burn. You're going to be way more oxidative. You're able to pull from fat stores a lot more readily when your intensity is lower and your body isn't needing fuel super, super fast. And that's the way it's going to be in higher intensity.
That was half the show.
Sorry. You guys know I'm long-winded.
Question for me.
I love running.
I'm working out, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I end my workout running a mile, which I absolutely despise.
Who likes that? Are you doing that every time?
Just about.
So like 4 days a week, you're just like
3 days a week.
You're just like, and now for my mile.
And I start out at 6.5 on the treadmill and end at 7. So
that's like a 9-minute mile down to about an 8.5.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
that's exactly right. Yeah. I have all the treadmills.
Yeah, she's got the treadmill stuff. So, and then my heart rate is, probably like around the 155, 160.
Yeah, it's you're in zone. You're right there. Because you're running it as hard as you can, or ish. I don't know.
I'm not running as hard as I can, but I'm running it, I would say, hard comfortably, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if I was running it a little harder, then I'd probably be uncomfortable most of the time, and I'm still uncomfortable. It's about I don't like running. I know you're. Put a basketball in front of me and I'll run all day.
You're really good at it though. Yeah. That's what's funny, and you just have a very fast mile. So you're built for it. So it's not a bad choice for you.
Yeah. But basically my heart rate's up. It's about the 160 mark, and it's a mile. It's not. I'm not doing long distance. I'm not doing sprints or whatever.
Right.
So I guess kind of what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good question, and that's kind of similar to her question, where it's like, okay, you're in the no man's zone. Yeah. You're in that zone 4, zone 5. You're just kind of in the middle. And while I would never say that's worthless and like it's a waste of time, I would never say that. But I think if you could get yourself to make some adjustments and polarize your runs a little bit more, if you're getting 4 a week, 3 to 4,
basically 3 solid,
3 solid, maybe 4 if you go with one more day.
Yeah.
I would say, hey, I'm going to take one of those runs. I'm going to pull the speed back to where I feel pretty aerobic. You don't even have to be that sciencey about it. You don't need to have a heart rate monitor. Just
go down to 6.
Can I talk? Can I get some words out? Am I fairly comfortable? And push your distance a little bit. And now if you don't have like a half marathon goal, like you could just say, hey, today I'm going to go 1.5 miles. And maybe your ultimate goal is to get up to like 3 miles. Easier for your aerobic work.
Why would I want to do that?
Because of the benefits of aerobic base work, like we just talked about. Sometimes I feel like you don't listen.
I do. I just don't want to run long.
I know. I'm not talking about your desires as a runner. I'm talking about what small changes we could put into your running current schedule that would actually help you to get more out of it from a training standpoint. So pick one of those runs, slow it down, just like what we just talked about, to where you feel like your heart rate's you're a little bit more in the aerobic zone, and just push your distance a little bit. And the reason I suggested working up to 3 miles is I think that's reasonable for someone who doesn't love running. Be like, okay, I get a little aerobic work in here.
What if I just worked up to like 1.2 miles?
I feel like you're ruining this conversation. And then another mile.
That feels like I'm running for like 20-25 minutes, which is not something I'm interested in doing.
Well, it wouldn't be that long if you get faster. Doesn't take. And also 20 minutes. You're not that fast. Like up to a 5K. Hey, I think you could. That's a decent goal for once a week. I'm just making a suggestion. And then another one of your runs, you could turn into like, no, I'm actually going to push myself and make this the hardest mile I can run. Maybe you don't murder yourself, but push it a little bit. Where you have a speed. It's like a threshold. It's like a pace run. And then, I mean, honestly, on the third one, rather than running another mile, I would be like, I'm going to run 200s.
Yeah. So me and Cash, when we do that, Cash works out with me.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old. That's one of my favorite ones to do. Is we'll just do sprints, walk for 3 minutes, do sprint, walk for 3 minutes, that kind of thing.
I love that.
And I like it because it's it's hard for a minute, and then you get to walk for 3 minutes.
It's easier yourself.
Yeah.
But you're more likely to hurt yourself, so you have to start with the aerobic base work. That's another thing about running, is that like it's exactly where you should be starting, because the speed work is where you pull the quad, you pull the head, like easy. Like I've done like you can do it. And then you're done for, months. So I would only add the sprints in after your body is fairly well conditioned. It can handle the aerobic base work. It could handle a hard mile, which that's pretty intense on the legs too. And then the speed work. But that's what I would do so that it's more polarized and intentional for those 3 runs. I think that's great. And I think it's reasonable for someone who's not like marathoning.
Yeah. All right. So this is, again, April from Wyoming's number two question.
We're getting very long-winded answers.
You mentioned getting your blood work done, but when I go to the doctor, I don't think they do all the blood work that you mentioned.
No.
Is there a specific panel you order to get all of it done? Or how do you know what kind of blood work to ask for?
Yes.
This is a weird doctor problem. I don't quite understand it.
I don't think they do all the blood work.
Anna, we get some hot water for me.
They don't. So I have my own list that I've just come up with on my own, just based off of what I know and what I like to see when I help people. So I can list that off to you guys. I've probably done it before. You can, normally when you go in to see a regular doctor, they literally will pull a CMP and like a lipid panel. And that's kind of it. Like, they're not going to test a lot of the things that I think people should be keeping tabs on at least once a year, maybe more frequently if you're having problems, right? So you're absolutely right. They just won't. And sometimes if you go in and you ask for stuff like vitamin D or fasted insulin, they'll like push back, which I do not understand. Especially because I understand if they're like, well, that's going to cost more. Like sometimes it's kind of, I don't always understand.
You're going to pay for that.
Yeah, you got to pay out of pocket for that, or that's a more expensive one. I mean, I understand them letting you know, but if you're willing to pay for it, I don't understand why they're like, no, you may not have that lab. I don't get it. It's really weird. But I'll give you the list, guys. So just so you have it and you can pause this or save it or write it down or whatever. This is what I like to see. And of course, if I'm working with someone and then we talk, I might add more things to it if there's specific concerns or specific whatever problems. But these are just the general things that I think we should be looking at all the time. And then I will also say there are more and more independent labs popping up where you can just order your own it's pretty affordable. You can get on even LabCorp, which has been around forever. If you have access to a LabCorp lab where you live, you can get on their website and buy your own labs. Jason Health is another site that up till now, in terms of just you ordering your own and just getting your own results like mailed to you, that's the cheapest I've been able to find. It is quite affordable. JasonHealth.com. Literally, that's it. Jason Health. I don't know much about it. I just know, but they go through Quest. So you pay for your labs. You literally pick the ones you want, put them in your cart, pay for them. And then they send you a lab order and you have to take it into Quest. Big cities all have Quest labs everywhere. Yeah. Like where we are at, you have to drive an hour and a half. So that's a little annoying. So there's just little things that you have to kind of know and work around. And I know there's other labs out there like it. I know there are. So you could go independent. The only downside is then you got to find someone who knows how to read it, which is something I do for people too. So you could go independent and then call me up and be like, what does it mean? And I'm happy to do that. But what I don't suggest doing is just hearing what we're saying here. Labs are so important. Get it done every year. Don't just go into your doctor and say, I love annual blood work, because you will get a CMP and a lipid panel. I mean, really, that's what you'll get. You will not get the things that we're about to talk about unless you specifically ask for it, okay? So I'm just going to list it off really quickly, you guys. I think I've done this before, but I'm going to do it again because I think it's important.
You should also give me this so I can put in some sort of chart graph.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. I like to see a CMP, and your doctor will agree with you on this one. That's a comprehensive metabolic panel, and it's just basic health markers, which is nice. You're going to get your fasted glucose in there. You're going to get your liver markers in there, which for Presbyterians is important. Okay? Don't make me explain why. I do like to see a lipid panel. It's just a good, helpful part of the picture. Like to see where that HDL is, like to see where those triglycerides are sitting, okay? I love a fasted insulin. They will not put that on your order. I do not know why. Like, why would you not want to know? If your fasted glucose is an 80, but your fasted insulin is a 25, you should be concerned. It's very telling, right? That fasted insulin will be high for years before it'll show up in your A1C or your fasted glucose often. So it's just ask for it. I like to see a CRP, a C-reactive protein, there's a CRP and there's an HS high sensitivity CRP. I just like the basic CRP. It's just a basic inflammation marker, but it is just nice to know if we're dealing with major inflammation in your body. Now, even though doctors will say this is not true, if you have done a super tough workout, like you're really sore, that can flag high. If you have an injury, like your back hurts, or it can be flagged high. So it's non-specific inflammation. So be aware of that. But I think it's a helpful thing to keep tabs on. You want that under a 1. Honestly, you want it at a 0, but you want it low grade chronic inflammation, very unhealthy for us. Okay. I like us to keep tabs on B12. I just find it's very important in the body for mood, for energy, for men and for women. And I just find it's really low in a lot of people. And then I like to, look at ferritin because it is especially in women. Okay. This may not be as necessary in men, although it wouldn't hurt to know, but in women, that's your iron storage. And I just have found it's a really good marker to keep tabs on, just to have a feel for what's going on in terms of iron in your body. Okay. You don't want that to be low, and you also don't want it to be super high because that can be a sign that you're sick or inflamed or something, fighting off some sort of infection, something like that. Okay, in the thyroid land, if you ask your doctor, hey, I'd like to check on my thyroid, they will order a TSH, maybe a total T4. That is it, which is why you do not say those words, because you will not get what you need. What you do need is a TSH, a free T3, a free T4, at least TPO antibodies. If you want to be more thorough, you can do TG, thyroglobulin antibodies. And some docs order reverse T3 on everybody all the time, the good doctors who understand thyroid. I would at least say, look at your reverse T3 if you're having horrendous hypothyroid type symptoms. And also, if you are taking currently any T4 containing medication, okay, levothyroxine, any kind of NDT, anything that contains T4, you should always, when you get your blood work done, be looking at reverse T3, because that means you are putting T4 in your body. And if in your body T4 converts to reverse T3 instead of free T3, which is what you want, you have major problems. So you need to be keeping tabs on it. Okay. That is thyroid. Any questions so far, Gabe?
No, I have nothing. No questions about my thyroid.
Okay. Any questions about your thyroid? Okay. I also like to look at morning cortisol. I think that women especially are so stressed out right now. They're just a disaster. Like, it's so bad.
Which means you have to go in the morning to get the blood draw.
Yeah, and this should be done in the morning anyways, because we're looking at fasted glucose, we're looking at fasted insulin. So this would be a blood draw that you would do fasted first thing in the morning, like first thing, 8:30, something like that. So that's a very good point. And it's hard because with cortisol, obviously, this lab is at one point in time. It is not telling you what your cortisol is doing for the rest of the day.
Or in the afternoon.
Or in the afternoon, or in the evening.
On Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the downside of blood work, but it's at least a data point. And if morning cortisol comes in and your morning cortisol is 37, we know we are a really stressed out body in the morning. If it comes in and it's a 4, we know that you have no cortisol in the morning, which is almost worse. So I just like to keep tabs on that, because so many women, especially when they get to midlife, their stress is just completely out of control, and it starts to really wreck their health. And that's a really helpful data point. And then I really like to see a free and a total testosterone. Now, the struggle with looking at hormones for women is that if you ask for them to test them and it comes in low, what are you going to do about it? Because if your doctor is not well versed in bioidentical hormone replacement, they're not going to be able to help you. So women really do try to find in your area or just online. There's so many doctors now who do telehealth, and we've talked about this. So you have way more options now. Find yourself a doctor, even if you're 27 and you're feeling fine. Think ahead and start hunting around to find a doctor who ideally is pretty functional and looks at the body as a whole, and who is well versed in women's hormone replacement. I would find a doctor who is not afraid of, on the thyroid side, NDT when it is needed, and leothyronine, just T3 only when it is needed, and one who is familiar and very comfortable with bioidentical hormone replacement of any of the female sex hormones that you might need: progesterone, estrogen, estradiol usually, testosterone, DHEA, all of them. Okay. And that's a hard sell, but I think it's more and more doctors are educating themselves, popping up, who can help you, because your regular doc is just not trained in this, and that's not really their fault. Then they're not going to touch this stuff. Okay. So you can ask for the labs, but if your testosterone come in, at a 2, most women, your GP is not going to give you any. Men, they'll give it to men. So men, get yours tested too, but don't just do total and free, because both numbers matter. And you can refer back, you guys, to our pretty good podcast we did with Amy Horniman, a couple months ago, all about testosterone, if you want to learn more about that.
Okay. You about ready for question number 3?
Hold on, really fast. Women, a couple more things that you need to put on your list. If you're cycling, and this is just on the hormone side of things, if you're still cycling, you do want to look at progesterone, ideally day 18 to 21-ish of your cycle, that's when progesterone is supposed to peak. It does matter when you measure it. If you just randomly measure progesterone, it's really not that telling. That is often the first hormone that starts to sort of putter out as we head into perimenopause. And I'm finding it's true very early for a lot of women, 30, 32, where progesterone really starts to go. You see it with high anxiety. You see it with the inability to sleep. There's other symptoms, but those two are really, really popular. So day 18 to 21 of your cycle, you want to look at least at estradiol. Some doctors like to look at more estrogens than that, which I think is fantastic, but you want to look at estradiol, and then you want to look at DHEA, among other things. Okay. And again, you got to find a doctor who can help you with this stuff when you get to the point where you feel like you might need some replacement. Okay.
Okay. Ready for number 3?
Yes.
Go ahead, Bree. You can go ahead and turn that off real quick. Let's pause for a second.
Okay.
The heater keeps popping on.
Oh, it just turned off, maybe?
I like that sign. Help yourself. Did you put that up?
I do not. Alex did it.
Amazing. All right, so I'm asking number 3 now. That's what'll come in.
Okay, great.
All right, so question number 3 here, also from April. I don't have access to super heavy weights. Can I still do effective weight training with the 25-pound dumbbell?
Okay, April.
Is it just one 25-pound dumbbell? Or
listen, I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's the point. I think she said dumbbells, but okay. April.
That's true.
I don't know.
My wife's a heart-to-heart with you.
Yes.
Yep.
And I'm just trying to imagine what scenario where you just don't have access. Like, are you on an island where they sell no dumbbells? Are you
only 25 pounds
in a gym that there are no gyms that don't have, they have all the dumbbells? You have to get access. And by that means join a gym. They always have dumbbells. Or if you're at home, which that's my guess. That's my guess based off this question. You got to buy dumbbells that are heavy enough to challenge you. Okay. Now, granted, you can always do something with dumbbells. Like if I showed up to like a hotel gym where you really can't control what is there, and the heaviest dumbbell they had was 25, you could get creative, and I could be like, I'm going to do 25 of everything. And it would be a challenge and it'd be fun and it'd make me sore that day. But like, if that was my home gym setup, you have to get weights that are heavier, that are going to challenge you in appropriate rep schemes. So for strength, anywhere from 1 to 5-ish. For more hypertrophy, anywhere from like 8 to 12 or 15. You have to. Now, I don't know if this is your husband being cheap. I don't know if it's you that's kind of being a little bit stingy, but like girls, like we got to invest. You can invest a little bit of money in the right dumbbells now, or you can invest in drugs and surgery and osteoporosis medication, and like you can invest in a lot worse, more expensive stuff later. So
yeah,
do not be cheap, April, about your fitness.
So what would be like a basic like weight set you think she should have?
Totally. It depends on where you are in April. I know I sound mean. I'm not really yelling at you. I'm just yelling at the because this comes up a lot where people
she did raise her voice though.
I did. Where people are like, I just don't have access to this, or and I'm just like, where do you live? Like, I don't understand. Get access to it. Like, this is what we were talking about in our it was last week, right? When we were talking about fasting, where we have to change, we have to move the Overton window of this conversation. Like, we have to stop acting like regular effective training isn't important. It costs money, it costs time, it costs a trainer, it costs a program, it costs a gym membership, or outfitting your home setup really well, which is not cheap. Like workout equipment is not cheap, like a lot of times I almost think going with the gym membership is a better deal, but it totally depends on the person and the situation, but you got to pay for it. So listen, if you're just like some little lady and you're just starting out, a set of 5s, 10s, 15s, 25s might actually be plenty for you for a while, and that's fine. So it depends on the body, how strong you've gotten and how strong you naturally are. But I would say most women, you're at least going to need a set of 25s and 35s. If you're wanting to if it was me and I wanted to do presses, like bench presses with dumbbells, I would need 55s. If I wanted to row, do heavy kneeling rows, 55, okay? Because that's how much weight I can actually pull in a reasonable rep scheme. So I'm not totally sure your situation, but I don't like this kind of thinking. I don't have access to this. Like, I don't like, are you an orphan? Like, I don't like, you got to get it. You got to get it. Get your husband on board. Don't feel guilty about it. Spend the money. It is really like moms taking care of their bodies in an effective way is very important, and it should be assumed and something that we do without question, without guilt, without feeling bad about it. So feel free to write me back if you're in some sort of special situation, access-wise, that I can't think of. But most of the time, someone's being cheap, and someone's just not throwing the money at mom's health that they should, and you absolutely deserve. You're absolutely worth it, and you deserve it. And it is not a question of will we spend money on your body and your health. It's just how much and when. Okay, It's PT later, or it's buy the dumbbells now. Okay, and this is true for everybody, not just you, April. And thank you for these questions. These are really good questions. Do you have anything else you want to say about that?
No. All right, so this is from a different listener. I don't have her name here, but let's say Sally.
Oh,
Sally from New Jersey.
What's her name?
I don't. She has two questions for us.
I'm looking at
How much exercise is okay in the first 6 weeks of postpartum, assuming all labor delivery went well? It doesn't seem like many people talk about this or
she was on Instagram.
only advise walking. For context, I exercised consistently during pregnancy with baby number 1 and started pelvic floor therapy, some light cardio and body weight strength before 6 weeks PP with no issue. When baby number 2 was born this summer.
Hi, Grace.
Okay, that's Grace.
It's Grace.
I'll be about 1.5 years into a consistent strength training and cardio routine. 6 weeks just feels like a long time to only walk.
Yeah. Okay. So much exercise. Okay, in the first week, 6 weeks, labor and delivery went well.
I could answer this question.
Yeah. What do you think the answer is?
I think the answer is
Squats right after you have your baby.
no. Assuming normal birth.
Yeah,
nothing crazy.
Nothing
crazy. Basically, you should be able to get back to normal to what you were doing before the pregnancy. I would say within the first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's not bad. Yeah, I don't know your particular situation, but I don't think I only apply the 6 week rule to women who have had a C-section, and that has been around for a while, and I actually believe in it because you had an abdominal surgery, and there's really no way. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you could play with red light therapy, or maybe there's a way to speed up healing, but I think you have to let your body heal to some degree because so many different layers of tissues have been cut into, stitched back up. So, and it's just right at the center of your body. So it really is pretty much no heavy lifting, no intensity for 6 weeks. After a C-section, and I do agree with that. But if you've had, and I think this is what you're talking about, a normal labor delivery and no complications, that everything went well, my goodness, I myself, and I've seen many other women who went into that pregnancy healthy and stayed fit and strong during. I think that makes a difference. I was moving after the 2 week mark. I mean, I was, and I did it smartly, you guys. You don't want to be an idiot about it. You could be really stupid. Please don't go to CrossFit class like, week 2. That's not smart, but just started like jogging, air squatting, a lot of ab rehab. There's certain movements that require a lot of core activation that you're not ready for yet, so you don't do those, but you do other things. So you just have to be smart. But I would recover really hard for like 2 weeks, and I do think it's really important that right after you have your baby, like the first week after you have your baby, you really rest, because your body is really recovering hard, and it's hard when you are healthy, strong, and you did all the right things going into that, and then you're into that labor delivery, because you can feel actually pretty good, and then you can really overdo it that first week, and it's very tempting to be like, I'll just vacuum really fast, or I'll just carry this. No, like I tell women, especially like type A fit women, week 1 after you have your baby, literally just lay around, let people do things for you. That's a huge piece of the recovery. And I think if you do that by weeks 2 or 3, you can start moving. And I think you're completely fine. I don't think there's any hard, fast rule on it. And I don't think there's any reason to sit around doing nothing when you could be doing something. You really do need to listen to your own body, though. And in this case, the number one thing that's going to tell you whether what you're doing is too much is anything that feels like anemia, right? You lose a lot of blood when you deliver a baby. So if you're just like white-faced, dizzy, lightheaded, super low energy, not in a good way, it's too much. And you just have to wait, eat well, stay hydrated, and wait for those red blood cells to build back up. And number 2, if you start bleeding, it's too much. That's a really easy sign. And I don't care how soon or long it is or what you were doing. If bleeding starts, scale it back. Other than that, I think that you should be fine 2 to 3 weeks getting going. And good for you. It sounds like you've done all the right things. You did pelvic floor therapy. And then after this baby, you're 1.5 years into consistent strength training and cardio. I love it. 6 weeks is a very long time. I don't think you need to wait that long, but ultimately everybody is different. You know, you never know what's going on the inside. I think that's one of the hard things about labor and delivery, like having a baby, is that it's a lot of trauma to the inside of your body. And you can't see it, you know? So really listen to your body, pay attention, start light and small and build very gradually, paying attention, making sure you're getting really good nutrition in and as much sleep as you can. And I think you're good to go.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
We'll wrap it up here. Last question. I'd love to get a list from Grace, of all your favorite health, fitness, nutrition type book recommends. I got some great ones for.
Do you?
I know you mentioned some sporadically on your podcast and Insta, but I'd love to hear your favorites to add to my reading list for next year. Yeah. There's this great barbecue book called Pork Butts.
I think I got it.
And I think you got it. It's fantastic. One of my favorites. It's got some great sides in it too. And I could go on.
Everyone needs it. It's a great coffee table book.
Yes, it is.
But
yep.
Okay, so I made a little list here for you. No, it's not true. I do read a lot of books. I just listen to them, but I listen to podcasts even more. So, and then now with the rise of social media, you can follow experts. You know, you can follow them on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and get a lot of good content from them there too. So I'll kind of cover all of that. In terms of books on nutrition, I really do believe that The Way by Joel Green is the best book out on nutrition right now. I really do. If you want to deep dive Weston A. Price, he's got some great books. That's old school knowledge. But I think right now in this time of just extreme dieting, this time of people just like being so obsessed with figuring out how to eat less, and an incredible metabolic unhealth, the work of Weston A. Price is great. That's a good way to go. There's a book called The Ultimate Nutrition Bible. It is, like it sounds, an encyclopedic, like it's huge. Wade Gallant, I think, and one other guy authored that. But I like that book because it's very science-based. It's very thorough. You can kind of use it as almost like a reference kind of. And it outlines ways to eat well, be healthy. If you're keto, if you're a vegetarian, it gives a lot of options. And I like that. Because there is a lot of different ways to eat, and a lot of it depends on your genetics, your preferences, your training style, you know, all that stuff. So that's a pretty good book. It's just really, really big. Other books that I think are worth noting if you're interested in health, Dr. Amy Horniman has a book coming out. This is her first book, I think. It's maybe available for pre-order. I need to check on that. I don't think it's actually out yet, but it's coming soon. It's called The Thyroid Fix. So I just like her so much, and she's so knowledgeable about thyroid health, that if you are interested in thyroid health or you're struggling with it, I would recommend that book, having not even read it. She also has a podcast, The Thyroid Fixer, which is just great information, years and years of, a backlog of her knowledge, interviewing great guests. So that's a really good resource. Also, I would also say the book Dirty Genes by Ben Lynch is excellent. It's a little, it's interesting to think about genes and genes being dirty, but even if you don't suspect, a lot of people do suspect there's something going on. Like, I don't know, I just feel like something's a little bit wrong with me, or why am I like this? That book explains a lot, and it's very, very interesting. It has helped me a lot since I found out that I had
a dirty gene.
A dirty MTHFR, a double compromised MTHFR. So super helpful. But even if you don't know that about yourself, that is a really good book. He's really interesting, and I would like to get him on the show. When I was flying, where was I just flying? I saw him. Thanks, social media. You know what people look like, but he was on my flight to Seattle, because that's where he lives. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to just like fangirl and freak out, but he was sitting in first class, but I didn't because it was a line and I had to keep moving. But I was like, that's Ben Lynch. But anyways, that's a great book. Very interesting, especially if you're a nerd. And then I threw on here the Adrenal Transformation Protocol by Dr. Isabella Wentz, because most y'all are in adrenal meltdown. Why? Too many babies too close together, not enough sleep, too much stress, not enough food. Okay? That's a one-way ticket to adrenal disaster. So if you feel like crap, things are not operating like they should, you're really irritable, your hair's falling out, you can't lose weight, give that book a read. I like Isabella Wentz. She is very fair-minded. She's great to follow in social media. She has a Hashimoto's book. She has other books, but the Adrenal Transformation Protocol is very appropriate right now because so many women's poor adrenals are just hanging on by a thread, okay? On the hormone side, if you're interested in, I just recommend all women get educated on hormones because your doctors just aren't. Okay, I wish they were, but they're not. And there's a lot of misinformation. I'm really excited to get Dr. Tabitha on the show and then have her come for our summit. Yeah. She's going to be able to shed a lot of light on that. But there's just so much fear mongering, so much misinformation, so much confusion. And it's a problem because our hormones are a really big deal. And we all, you go through menopause at 52? That means like half of the rest of your life, if you live a nice long life, will be spent in the absence of hormones. If you could replace them in a safe and effective way to give you way more quality of life, wouldn't you want to know about that? Wouldn't you want to do it? Like, it's important, okay? And again, women, 50% of the population, half of our lives, like this stuff matters. So books to read, Estrogen Matters, fantastic book. Anything written by Dr. Lindsay Berkson. So far, I've loved her. I love her in interviews. So any interview, you can find her on podcasts. Her books are great. Dr. Felice Gersh, wonderful. I just listened to her. Who is she talking to? I can't remember, but she's fantastic also. And then Dr. David Rosensweet, very good. Okay. And these are people that you could read their books. If you go into podcasts, just put their name in and you'll just get a list of interviews with them. You can digest that information in any format that you want to. In terms of podcasts, you guys, I'm just going to list off a couple. These are very women bent, but they're very, very good. I really like Better with Dr. Stephanie. She's just good on all things women's health, very pro strength training, very pro not under eating. I really like that about her. She has a chiropractic background, so she's just really unique. Everyday Wellness with Cynthia Thurlow, pretty good, intentional, XNP, and just gets great interviews, honestly. She just gets really good interviews. A lot of the hormone docs that I just listed off, she's interviewed them at least once. The Hormone Solution podcast by Karen Martell, she's a hormone specialist, great interviews there too, and just a really good, if you want a 3-part series and why the birth control pill is bad, that's where you go. If you want a 3-part series debunking why estrogen gives you cancer or whatever, that's where you go, okay? So very in-depth information. Healthful Pursuit with Leanne Vogel. I love Leanne. I have been texting with her recently, and I want to get her on the show. I haven't mentioned this to you, but I'm going to try it. Well, that's someone I want to get on here. She is kind of in the naturopathic nutrition space, but just a really good head on her shoulders and just gets great interviews, thinks a little outside of the box. She does functional blood chemistry, she's just really interesting. But her podcast is phenomenal if you just want something to listen to, you know what I mean? And she's trustworthy and she's really good and a believer, which is really cool. Muscle Science for Women podcast, decent podcast on strength training, lifting, okay? The Dr. Tina Show with Dr. Tina Moore, love her. She's a crazy person, and I just like her a lot. She's been in naturopathic medicine for a long time. She gets great interviews. She's talked with Joel several times. I think just became a believer also, which she's been open about. She just picked up from Oregon, which she said was making her sick, and moved her whole family to Arizona. Yeah. And goes to church now in Arizona and is just living her best life. Yeah, but she has a lot of great things to say. She was the doctor who has put out decent information on microdosing GLP-1s. She is one of the few people that I trust on that topic. And then, like I mentioned, the Thyroid Fixer podcast with Dr. Amy Horniman, if you are interested in thyroid. And you know what? There are just not a lot of 35-year-old or older women right now whose thyroids are doing well. I wish that wasn't true, but it is. And then lastly, just in terms of people to follow on social, any book that they might read, any interview they might do, Sal DiStefano from Mind Pump, he's phenomenal. He has great things to say, especially on the exercise front. Andy Galpin, okay, he does have a podcast called Perform. If you are an exercise science nerd and you want Huberman style length deep dives into the complexities of exercise, Andy Galpin is your guy. You'll see him getting in. I think Huberman did a whole series with him talking about, let's talk about power, let's talk about endurance, let's talk about, and I'm talking long form. So if you're a real nerd, Andy Galpin, you will enjoy. Chris Masterjohn, anything he puts out, he's fantastic. Any interview, he does have a podcast. He's boring, okay? He doesn't present well. He's nerdy. He's a total nerd, and he's boring, but man, he's good. I mean, he spends a lot of time very kindly debunking really stupid stuff that people like Gary Brecka say all the time. And you can take what he says to the bank. Okay, he is smart. And when you think people are saying things and you're like, Chris Masseljohn will set it straight. Okay. And then lastly, Joel Green. He's brilliant. I have literally Googled Joel Green and just listened on podcasts, on YouTube, to every interview I have been able to find him on. And these most like weird, on some of the like the weirdest, most abstract podcasts that I'd never heard of before. But if I see Joel Green's name come up, I listen to it. And I'm telling you guys, I learn something new every time he talks. Every time he talks, it's like some new gem of information. I'm like, oh. So there's overlap. There's things that he'll say that are the same from a time before and a time before. But if you want to be smarter, like about anything, listen to Joel Green anywhere you can find him. And for sure, read his book, The Way. I think it is the best nutrition book out there. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too much. No. I hope that was helpful. Are we out of time?
Yeah. That's good.
3:05. We did it.
Right. Thank you guys for tuning in the show. Make sure you guys go to waterbreak.tv to sign up for our summit. You can sign up your email address there and join our email community. And then Substack, we're going to start reposting a lot of our stuff back on Substack again, and some of Annie's notes and stuff that'll be coming. So that'll be linked on our website too. So Waterbreak TV, so we can find all our stuff.
Yeah, we'd love to see you at that summit, man. Yep. I'm so excited about it, you guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you for tuning in.
Bye.